Hello and welcome back. Thus far, we've been able to make a window pop up on the screen, but it disappears right away, which is really annoying. So we're going to learn finally how to keep this window open. We're going to do this by learning about loops and how they are used to repeat sections of code over and over. We're going to learn about a specific type of loop called a while loop and how it uses a condition to check whether or not it should keep repeating its code. We call that condition the loop condition. So let's talk about loops. Loops are a way to repeat code. The code in a loop repeats until a condition is met. We call this condition the loop condition. A loop condition is a Boolean expression. The loop continues to execute as long as this condition is true. Here's how it works. The loop condition is checked for its truth value. If the condition has a truth value of true, then the loop's body gets to execute, so all statements inside of the loop body get to run. Once the loop body completes, the loop condition is evaluated again. If it's still true, the loop body runs again, and all those statements inside the body are repeated. This continues over and over and over again. However, if the loop condition evaluates to false, then the loop exits and the body doesn't get to run anymore. Here's an example. You and your family are 100 miles away from Disneyland. So let's make an int variable called miles to Disneyland and initialize it to a value of 100. Now, this is a while loop. It consists of the keyword while, followed by parentheses, and a body made of curly braces. Now, the loop condition goes inside the parentheses. This expression returns a Boolean value, and it's what determines if the loop body even executes in the first place. The statements go inside the loop body. We'll print out a message to the screen, and then we'll perform some action that changes the loop condition. Here, we're assigning the value of miles to Disneyland. You see this minus sign? It's called the subtraction operator, and it does exactly what you think it does. It takes the value to the left and subtracts the value to the right, then returns the result. It doesn't actually change the value of miles to Disneyland, it just returns the result of the subtraction. But here we're using the assignment operator to actually change miles to Disneyland. We're making this new value and overwriting the value that was in miles to Disneyland. The value 100 gets replaced by the new value 99. So the very first iteration for the loop, we check the loop condition. Is the expression true? Since miles to Disneyland starts off at 100, then yes, the condition is true. So the loop body executes. Now we subtract 1 from miles to Disneyland and reassign its value with the result. So after the first loop iteration, miles to Disneyland now holds a value of 99. Once the body completes, we start over and check the loop condition again. We say that now we're on the second loop iteration. Now when we check, miles to Disneyland is now 99, which is still greater than 0. So of course, our loop condition allows the body to run again. Inside the loop body, we subtract 1 from miles to Disneyland, and now it holds a value of 98. This happens over and over and over again. Fast forward to the 99th iteration. We've subtracted 1 from miles to Disneyland 99 times, and now it has a value of 1. Now, as usual, we check the loop condition, and it succeeds because 1 is greater than 0, so we do execute the loop body, after which miles to Disneyland is now 0. So, finally, on our 100th iteration, we check the loop body again, and since miles to Disneyland is now 0, our loop condition finally evaluates to false. At this point, we break out of the loop and we no longer execute the loop body anymore. The loop has terminated. Now, what happens if the loop condition never changes? Well, if we place a value into the while loop's parentheses that will always evaluate to true, the loop body will keep executing over and over again forever. This is called an infinite loop, and the statements in the body of your while loop will continue to execute over and over until the end of time when civilization has long since collapsed. So your challenge is to create an infinite loop. In the main function, just under the call to init window, add a while loop. For the loop condition, simply use true. That's right, plug in the keyword true, which is literally the value of true. This way, the loop condition will always be true. Leave the body of the loop empty. There will not be any statements inside the curly braces. Then, start the program using start debugging. And to end the program, use stop debugging. Go ahead and pause the video now and give this a try. Okay, so here we are in Visual Studio. We're in our Axe Game program. And here are all the Booleans that we've created in the previous videos. I'm going to go ahead and highlight all these because I don't need them anymore. So I can go ahead and get rid of those. And here we have our call to init window. So I'm going to go just below the call to init window. And here we're ready to create our infinite loop. So I start by using the while keyword followed by parentheses, and the loop condition goes inside the parentheses. Now I'm going to use simply the value of true because the while loop condition simply needs to be evaluated for its truth value. So true will definitely have a truth value. It's obviously true. Now we're going to leave the loop body empty and simply run this program. So I'm going to go up to run and start debugging. And take a look. Here is my window. I get to actually see my window for the first time for longer than a split second. Now, notice you can't really do anything with the window. You see this little circular symbol here that shows that the computer's thinking? That's because it's caught in an infinite loop. It's in purgatory. It cannot do anything except continue to execute this while loop because really the flow of execution is caught here. It's stuck here. It will never get out of here. So it can never do anything else. So this is a good reason to never have an infinite loop. We should always be able to break out of our while loop somehow, some way. So to get out of this program, we can go to run and choose stop debugging. So we have to manually exit our program, which is not ideal. So that's why we need to figure out how to get out of this while loop, and we'll do that in the next video. So don't you worry, we won't be dependent on this infinite loop for long. Okay, so in summary, we learned that loops are a way to repeat our code. We learned about the while loop and how it uses a loop condition to decide whether or not to keep executing the loop body. We learned if our loop condition never changes, we have an infinite loop, which never stops executing. We then created an infinite loop to force our program to stay open so we could see our pop-up window. But we saw that there's no way to close the window except by killing our program with stop debugging. So in the next video, we're going to learn how to close our program properly. See you then.